Hey everyone, this is Ryan Mallory for SharePlanner.com. Today is February the 8th, 2013. Doing an end of the week live chart session for you here. Typically these things last only about 15 minutes, sometimes 20, but I try to keep them as close to 20 minutes or 15 minutes as possible. Typically I will go over the S&P right off the bat, give you some thoughts on the general market direction, followed by a quick look at the stocks that I am currently holding, which consists of 3 long setups, and then I will go over everyone's stocks in the, that has been requested for me to go over. So, right off the bat, let's look at SPX here. All right, well, today we obviously got the breakout. I've been talking about this, in the evening tape that I post at night, also in the trading plan this morning and the day before. I mentioned that we needed to break above this 1514, actually more like the Tuesday highs that we made, intraday highs. So above 1514, which would be 1515, that's where we needed to break out and above. Until we did that, I wasn't really comfortable showing any increased bullishness in my trading behaviors. Now, if we had dropped below the Tuesday lows, which would have been at 1495, that would have been much more of a bearish scenario that I could have gotten behind, but that didn't happen. As it stands now, and a lot can change between now and the end of the day, but as it stands now, we're trading about 2 points above that breakout level. So definitely increased bullishness. I haven't added any new trades to the portfolio today. We are actually off about 60 points off of our all-time highs in the S&P 500, which is a remarkable feat considering where we were at the end of 2008 and early 2009 and how far we've come. A lot of that, of course, being on the heels of the Federal Reserve, the quantitative easing, and just a constant pumping of these markets. All right, well, let's look at the first stocks. POL. POL has a nice setup here. One that I will add to my watch list, but I think it is setting up very well. At 23.24 is probably an ideal place to get long. Excellent trade setup here. And we have Jim to thank for that one. What I like about these things is that it hasn't had to come a long ways in order to get to that breakout level. For the most part, it has consolidated at or near its highs for most of this time. So you can come at it with a pretty tight stop loss. So ideally here, if you can go with it, maybe like a 22.34 stop loss. And then perhaps a breakout level, like what we already said, probably like 23.24. Yeah. So, and I'm looking at this as a possible trade for this afternoon because I really do like that, and it has not been popping up on my screens. I'd like to see a little bit more volume though come into it. It's trading at about 100,000 shares today. Good chance that it sees about 200 before the end of the day. So that is one concern that, if we all get into it, we might move it a little too much too quickly. But POL 22, I said 22.24, right? Sorry guys, I'm working off of like just a few hours of sleep last night. 23.24. With a stop loss at, we'll just go at 22.33 as our stop loss. So that gives us about a 4.5% stop loss. So we might have to rethink that stop loss. Maybe not be as wide with it. Maybe go below this 20-day moving average and say 22.48, which would make it a much a play with less risk to it. The other thing we got to check is earnings. Make sure there's no earnings announcements that are coming out anytime soon. Yeah, so the 22.33 stop loss is probably not something I'm going to use. Probably more like a 22.48. Be about 75 cents, which would be about a 3% stop loss, which falls into my desired range. All right, that's just the first stock. Spend some good time on that one. LNKD, LinkedIn. Oh yeah, up 20% today. There's really no trade on this one, guys. At some point, you could see a pattern emerge that causes it to get us to get short and try to fill this gap, but that's not in the here nor now. So I don't think that this stock will become relevant for at least another couple of weeks. MTH. Okay, there's some short possibilities here. You have a short-term bounce into resistance here. And you go ahead and draw a line so you see exactly what I'm talking about there. See, it tested it back here in September, again in October, and again in late October, and then it's tested it again here this month. So it's like a bear flag pattern too. In fact, I'd probably say that's close to being a confirmed bear flag pattern. Let's draw that one up as well. Yeah, it's a little bit of a rough bear flag, but there's something there. If I can draw it similar or close to a bear flag, then heck, let it be a bear flag. So I would probably say if you're going to trade this stock, I would get short on it, MTH, below the day's lows at 40.71. At that point, I think it does offer a good risk reward, 42.13. We said 40.71 for the entry, 42.13. That's a good setup. I'm going to add that to my watch list as well. Excuse me. ORCL. Just looking at it here, I'm not seeing anything that really makes me think there's a clear edge to trade it at this point in time. I think this is a stock that you just have to let the trend play out on. Because it is trading, not a great channel, but somewhat of a channel. So my thought really is to let it come back down to this $32 level before I would get long on it. SSYS. Okay, we got the bear flag still working in this one. Nice consolidation, bear flag, but I don't see a reason to get short on this one at this point. And I know we had talked about this one before. I'm not sure I really talked much to the tune of this bear flag pattern, but that is a very, very concerning pattern for bulls. And to get long on that, I would not do it. Some minor resistance at 83.74, but I think where the fireworks will really start coming out is if this thing can get below 80.65. 80.65, so that's about $2 away. You have a chance to see this thing drop into the mid-70s. So I see SSYS as more of a short than a long position here. Just based off of some of the stuff that we've seen over the last few days, I think it's changed the behavior of this stock. Even if it pulls back to that trend line and you don't take the short position, I'd be very hesitant to get long at this point, because I just don't think that there's that much room for a bounce off of that trend line now. STX. You did have a bear flag looking pattern that was forming here, though it wasn't a strong one, just based off of how you had 4 days of trading to the upside. followed by a breakout today, so that bear flag pattern doesn't exist anymore. It's given up a lot of the day's gains. Just don't see a clear edge in either direction for trading this stock. And it's come pretty close. I mean, I'd almost consider that a gap fill. It went all the way up to 36.83. The gap fill was at 37.36. Some people would disagree with me on that, and that's okay, but I wouldn't try to play it for a gap fill at this point, that's for sure. We'll probably draw this chart a little bit more and say that it found some resistance on the other side of that channel. So that's another reason probably not to go long on this stock. It's just that it doesn't give a clear edge in any direction. YHOO. All right, just drawing some trend lines on YHOO to see what we are working with here. There was a point in time where I traded YHOO a lot more than what I have lately. I never like religiously traded it, but I have traded it in the past, so I'm going to just delete that trend line because I don't think it's all that significant. So what I drew here were two trend lines. One off of the highs from March, and then just trying to connect these price levels as a result. And then one off of the October lows. And what you have this bearish pattern formation. And I'm going to add this actually to my short list because I think that if it can break below 1965 in the coming weeks, it could be a very good short setup. So I'm going to add that to my short list as well. We got two more stocks to go over, and the first one being VIP. All right, Alex Zerg gave us this stock here. This looks pretty good. I mean, excellent setups, guys, today. You also have a double bottom here on VIP forming as well. It's not a perfect double bottom, but I think you get the gist of it. It has broken out to that double bottom, so there's two ways you could trade this one. Okay, you can trade it on a pullback to 1152, which may or may not happen. Or you can play this breakout, which I think is probably a little bit more attractive. So this is a good setup. Very good setup. High of 1240. It's trading at 1233 right now. What kind of highs are we looking at? I would say 1241 is your ideal entry. So, gotta tell you, that's a good setup. Adding it to my watch list, and I'm going to watch it carefully with POL this afternoon as well. Excellent charts today, guys. PPP. Primero Mining Corporation. Whoops. All right. You know what? Before I do it, let me go back to VIP one more time because I didn't really give much in terms of a stop loss. You see this thing trailing the 10-day moving average? If you're going to get in at 1240, you're going to probably want to keep it somewhere between 3 to 4%. I would put my stop loss probably about 1197 or so. I'm going to write this down just so I don't forget what I'm saying here after I conclude this video. So that gives you about 43 cents, about 3.5% stop loss. Next and last chart, we started going into it. A lot of support here on PPP. Not my type of setup particularly. To the long side, I like trading these more to the short side because you have this descending triangle. And in theory, if it can get below this 596 level, which is another thing I'm not too crazy about, is shorting low dollar stocks. I have before, but not my cup of tea. If it got below 596 to say like 595, you could get short on it at that point. But you also currently with the price action, you have like somewhat of a cup and handle pattern play here that some people will jump in around 642 on 643, but they're going to find some resistance here that as it has touched 2 times before. If it hits that 657 level, there's probably going to be some sellers there. So I would not take it long just because of the overhead resistance that is so close nearby. And we'll probably add it to a short list to see if you can get some downside momentum here in the coming days or weeks, and possibly get an entry at 595 if shorting low dollar stocks like these are something that you're comfortable with. But yeah, guys, great video, man. Lots of good setups, and I think if anything, you all gave me and the others some more stuff to work with this afternoon. Once we see where this market really wants to take us. That's going to be it for today. You all have a great weekend. I'll still be in the splash zone. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to hand it back over to Wall Street Noel, and I'll be chiming in as well on that broadcast. Appreciate your patience as we're trying out some new technologies on the site to improve everything that we're offering. And y'all have a great weekend. Spend some time with family, and God bless you all.